today's Channel 1 News Hour as we begin this week being the 15th day of March 2021. It is indeed the first Monday that we are not doing very well in terms of health. Why am I saying this? I'm talking about the health situation that we have in the country, the COVID situation, looking at the cases and the percentage that we have realized today. We as a country, as we begin this bulletin, kindly let's not forget all the Ministry of Health protocols, including sanitizing, keeping clean, and of course keeping the distance, and we will trounce this monster. Of course, we have a wide variety of news items lined up for you from all corners of this republic, not forgetting business and indeed sports. Welcome. But first things first, let's have a look at the highlights. The Kenya-Somalia maritime boundary dispute kicks off at the International Court of Justice at The Hague, minus Kenya. The trajectory alarming as 731 new coronavirus cases are confirmed in the last 24 hours, indicating a 16% positivity rate. And shocking murder. The body of National Lands Commission's employee Jennifer Wambua discovered at City Mortuary after her mysterious disappearance on Friday. My name is Ben Troy Njue, and Lensa Odingo will be our sign language interpreter for tonight. And we begin with the health situation, where the Ministry of Health has reported 731 new coronavirus cases from 4,513 samples tested, the highest daily infections recorded this year. This means the positivity rate over the last 24 hours was 16.2%. 5 patients unfortunately lost their battle on Monday, while 191 others were discharged after making full recovery.
Nairobi County is bearing the brunt of the third wave of the COVID-19 disease that has hit the country. Of the 731 new coronavirus cases reported Monday, 541 are from the capital city. The coronavirus positivity rate stands at 16.2% from 4,513 samples tested in the last 24 hours, the highest daily record this year. Tharaka Nithi recorded 42, Machakos 39, Kiambu 26, Kajiado and Mombasa 18 cases each, Meru 9, Nyeri and Makueni 5 cases each, Nakuru 4, Garissa 3, Kilifi, Kisii, Muranga, Narok, Nyamira, Trans Nzoia and Uasin Gishu recording 2 cases each, while Kisumu, Mandera, Migori, Nyandarua, Kirinyaga, Bomet and Vihiga recorded single cases each. So far, a total of 113,967 people have been infected. The country has lost 5 patients between Sunday and Monday, bringing the number of fatalities to 1,918. 191 COVID-19 patients have recovered, 166 from the home-based care program, while 25 from hospitals. Meanwhile, Kiambu County Governor Dr. James Nyoro has encouraged frontline workers in the region to get the COVID-19 jab. He spoke after he was vaccinated alongside his wife, Sarah, and Deputy Governor Joyce Ngugi. Over 6,000 Kiambu residents are expected to be vaccinated in the first phase.
It is safe, and it is safer to be vaccinated than to get COVID. As you are aware, we are now in the third wave. Our county is not being spared.
Elsewhere, Migori County Women Representative Pamela Odhiambo is calling on the government to ensure all teachers are immunized before the national examinations begin.
My humble appeal that as our teachers give service to our children, they should be protected.
And still on the health situation, a number of Nordic countries have suspended the use of Oxford ASTRAZENECA vaccine following reports of blood clots in a number of people recently vaccinated. Among the countries that have suspended the rollout of the vaccine include Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands and Ireland.
The Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, Bulgaria, Iceland and Thailand are among countries that have paused the use of the AstraZeneca vaccine over fear of thrombosis. However, authorities and experts say there is no link between the COVID-19 vaccine and blood clots. The European Medicines Agency, the World Health Organization, and the UK's medicine regulator all say the vaccine is safe to give and will review the claims laid. WHO says it's aware that a small fraction of people may have a severe allergic reaction to the COVID-19 vaccines, which is normal to any vaccine or drug. As a precautionary measure, WHO recommends that before the first dose, clients should inform the vaccinating team about any allergic reaction they may have had in the past. Oxford vaccine can be stored in a normal fridge, which makes it much easier to distribute. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni says he's still contemplating on the continuity of the jab in his country. Kenya and some other African countries, United Kingdom, France, Australia, and latest entrant Georgia have continued with the rollout of the ASTRAZENECA vaccine. Ruth Wamboi for Channel 1 News.
And away from that, let's now focus on some politics where the Wiper Democratic Movement Machakos senatorial candidate Agnes Kavindu has dismissed claims that she's not qualified to run for the 18th March slated by-election. Kavindu, whose credentials have been questioned in court by 2 voters, now blames her opponents for the current political woes.
2 Machakos voters have gone to court to challenge the eligibility of Wiper's candidate Agnes Kavindu on the Thursday's senatorial by-election on what they claim lack of the necessary academic qualification. Kavindu has, however, come out gun-blazing, saying she has what it takes for the seat.
Mimi ninaweza kazi ya seneta, nina makaratasi yote ya kuniwezesha kuwa seneta wa taifa letu la Kenya.
Kavindu says her opponents see her as a potential candidate and thus want her out of the race.
Mimi ni mcha Mungu na sitakubali kitu chochote cha Machakos County kiende kando na ile kazi tunastahili kufanya.
Meanwhile, Amani National Congress Party has thrown its weight behind the Wiper Democratic Party senatorial candidate Agnes Kavindu. ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi, however, says his party has put on hold campaigns of the Machakos by-election owing to the upsurge on COVID cases in the country.
For us, nothing matters more than a decent life for every Kenyan. We should not gamble with people's lives through mediocre leadership.
And Maendeleo Chap candidate John Mutua Katuku has distanced himself from by-election rigging claims. Katuku said his critics see him as a potential leader to a united region.
Shida ya mashamba hapa kwa kaunti yetu tumeitatua kwa uzuri, kama hapa The River, kama Mkamukuu na wapi. Nataka kila mtu apate haki yake.
Separately, Game Member of Parliament Elisha Odhiambo has moved to court seeking orders to bar his political rival Bukangesa from publishing any further defamatory statements against him. In a suit filed at Siaya Law Court, Odhiambo is seeking an injunction against Ngesa, the party leader of the Communist Party of Kenya, following a letter circulated in various social media platforms on September 3rd, 2020, linking him to alleged theft of funds, which was to go towards building an administration block in Masinde Primary School in Game constituency. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
To some unfortunate news, the National Land Commission employee who went missing on Friday last week has been found dead. And according to police, the body of Jennifer Wambua, who was the deputy director in charge of communications at the National Land Commission, was discovered at the Nairobi's city mortuary on Monday.
Detectives investigating the disappearance of Jennifer Wambua, who was an employee at the National Land Commission, discovered her body at the Nairobi's city mortuary on Monday. Police say the body of Jennifer Wambua, who worked as the deputy director in charge of communication, was picked from Gong Forest 4 days after her family filed a missing person report at the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. Police fear that the deceased, who was a state witness in a multi-million graft case, was strangled to death. In the preliminary investigations, CCTV footage retrieved by detectives shows that the deceased entered a 4th-floor office in the morning and later left carrying her handbag an hour later on Friday. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
Elsewhere, the Kenya Film Classification Board has banned the controversial wife material program by comedian Eric Omondi, even as it adopted an alternative dispute resolution mechanism to solve the ongoing impasse with the content producer. KFCB Chief Executive Officer Ezekiel Mutua further says a mediation team that includes renowned Kenyan entertainers Daniel Churchill Ndambuki, Felix Odwor, aka Jalango, and Ted Kwako, also known as Big Ted, will broker talks between the two parties.
The ongoing tiff between the Kenya Film Classification Board and comedian Eric Omondi came to an end after both parties reached an agreement. This as Kenya Film Classification Board also directed the comedian to suspend his wife material program and brought in renowned players in the entertainment industry to mediate.
The program in contention, dubbed Wife Material 2, is hereby suspended forthwith until the case is heard and determined by this self-regulatory committee to which Eric and ourselves have agreed, and the same fully complies with the provisions of the Films and Centuries Act Cap 222 of the laws of Kenya, in line with the agreement that we have signed this morning. Number 3, that going forward, the producers of the program shall fully comply with the law and no further explicit content shall be aired on the said Eric Omondi's online platforms.
The board acknowledged Omondi's apology and request for an out-of-court settlement and issued 9 conditions which must be met by the content producer moving forward.
Count on our support to set up an infrastructure that will ensure that no other artist will have to be arrested by the board or by DCI for violating the law. But more important, we'll focus not just on arresting people, but also on celebrating clean content and those who are telling African stories.
Meanwhile, KFCB has set up a committee composed of stakeholders to come up with guidelines that will regulate content shared on online platforms.
It's very important yani to make your rules as an industry. We come up with our own regulatory directives on how to run our own business.
Indeed, you're watching Channel 1 News Hour, and allow me to appreciate Teacher Mike watching live from Inyanze, Ikime Ngomeni Ward, Kitui County. Fidel Mambo, you're also watching. Justice K. Chepkwoni watching live from Nakuru, Langalanga. And of course, Jack Omolo, you're also watching, and of course, your comment is highly welcome. Joseph Nyakundi, you're tuned. Of course, a lot of you have tuned in. Remember, we are live from the broadcasting house in the county of Nairobi and also on all our social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, and also our KBC app. Remember, at KBC Channel 1, at Bentro Njue. Hit me up. And of course, I'll sample some of your responses, including where you are watching us from. Let's take that break.
Fanya hivi, wewe teremuka tu chini. Hata watu wanangojea, unasema unione? Si ninakuona ndio huyu kucha. Kucha ninakuona.
Yoi.
Nimekuita mara ngapi Kate? This is the Nissan Note.
Hii ndio motoka.
Not that this is the Nissan Note we are giving out.
Na ni rahisi sana kuwekelea bid. Unaenda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa. Unaweka paybill number 4032353. Kisha unakelea account number ya Nissan Note ni Note, N-O-T-E. Namba ambayo unapenda, labda unapenda 100, labda unapenda 200. Wekelea Note 100, Note 200. Alafu tutakuitisha shilingi 40 peke yake, 40 bob only. Weka pin yako, utakuwa umekelea bid ya hii Nissan Note. Inakungoja wewe mahali popote ulipo. Mimi na mtumishi tutakupea.
Welcome back and thanks for keeping me company. Let's now check our borders, where the first round of oral arguments on the merits of the case concerning the maritime boundary in the Indian Ocean between Kenya and Somalia in The Hague have begun without Kenya addressing the court as intended. Somalia's delegation said a favorable ruling will allow them access important maritime resources and in turn play a big role in ensuring they continue with development plans. The Kenyan legal team had requested for a 30-minute audience with the court to seek more time before the start of the public hearing, but the plea was rejected.
The International Court of Justice in The Hague, Netherlands, on Monday proceeded with its public hearings as scheduled in the case concerning maritime delimitation in the Indian Ocean pitting Kenya and Somalia at exactly 5 p.m. Kenya, which has so far withdrawn from the case, was however not granted its request of 30 minutes to explain grounds upon which the country sought not to participate in the hearings.
I've regularly rejected.
At the court, the seats set aside for the Kenya's delegation were empty. The court regretted Kenya's lack of participation in the hearing, which was scheduled for March 15th to 24th.
In the present instance, there is no agreement to be interpreted in light of intertemporal law. Rather, the court is called upon to delimit the maritime boundary here and now. To this end, its role is to implement the law in force at the time when it proceeds to said delimitation.
The court agent of Somalia, Mohammed Mahad Gulaid, said the country has been trying to put its house in order following years of disruption and that the judgment is critical to development. He said Somalia was deeply concerned that Kenya refused to show up for the proceedings, noting the court had been generous in allowing Kenya's request of postponement thrice. According to Somalia, the case is quite straightforward, and Kenya's move to boycott the proceedings will not stop the court from executing its mandate. Kenya had asked for the case to be delayed while it briefed a new legal team, citing inconvenience by the COVID-19 pandemic. It also objects to the presence of a Somalia judge on the ICJ panel. The point of disagreement between Kenya and Somalia is the nature of the line of the maritime boundary. Somalia maintains a center line from the Kenya-Somalia land boundary terminus, but Kenya insists on a straight line. Somalia's central line carves out a triangle of the maritime area currently occupied by Kenya and where 4 oil blocks are located. Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
To the corridors of justice now, where the Anti-Corruption Court in Nairobi has ordered former Nairobi County Governor Mike Sonko to avail himself to court on Tuesday for his hearing of his 10 million shillings graft case. Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogoti dismissed Sonko's application for adjournment, saying 4 independent medical reports presented to court by doctors from the Kenyatta National Hospital showed the governor is fit to stand trial. Former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko is expected in court in person on Tuesday for his graft case. Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogoti warning Sonko of consequences if he misses his court appearance. The court dismissed medical report obtained from private doctors showing he was not fit to stand trial, presented to court by Sonko's defense lawyers, claiming the reports were obtained 2 weeks after the court made an order that he be examined at Kenyatta National Hospital. Sonko has failed to attend court since 26th of January 2021 on medical grounds. According to Ogoti, the psychiatric evaluation showed that Sonko has no mental illness. Elsewhere, the acting Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu has on a temporary basis closed Meru law courts for a period of 7 days starting Monday. This follows the death of one of the workers owing to COVID-19 complications. During the period of closure, all urgent matters for the magistrate courts at Meru law courts shall be directed to Githongo, Tigania and Nkubu law courts. A Mombasa court has ordered the detention of a suspected Tanzanian drug kingpin, Miss Jumanne Maimuna Amir, for 3 more days pending further investigations on her drug syndicate case. According to police, Maimuna was arrested on Sunday at the Moi International Airport in Mombasa with 5.3 kilograms of heroin valued at 15 million shillings. The drugs were concealed in her suitcase, hidden in a false bottom and a false top. The case will be mentioned on Thursday, March 18th. Still in Mombasa, a woman fighting for child custody with her ex-lover was today frisked in court by police after it was alleged that she was armed with a knife in court. Through his lawyer, the man alerted the High Court that the woman and the mother of the child was armed with a knife with intentions to harm him, but it was established she was not concealing any weapon. The two are embroiled in a legal custody battle of a 3-year-old boy, with the man a British national seeking to have the minor registered as a British citizen and secure him an Irish European Union passport. And 3 suspects have been released on a 1 million shillings bond each after they denied charges of being found in possession of a pangolin, which is one of the world's most endangered and most trafficked wildlife species. Daniel Kisaika, Tonyua Kisaika, and Sachan Kisaika appeared before Narok Chief Magistrate George Wakahio, where it is alleged that on the 12th March 2021 at Empash area in Narok West Sub-County, within Narok County, they were found dealing with live wildlife species. In his ruling, Wakahio ordered that pictures of the endangered pangolin be taken before it is released to the wilderness by the Kenya Wildlife Service. Elsewhere, the National Counter-Terrorism Center has lauded efforts played by the media to mitigate the ever-increasing presence of violent extremist groups in the country and the neighboring countries. And in Mwingi, schools administrators have been urged to ensure observance of COVID-19 protocols in preparation of the KCPE and KCSE national examinations that begin next week. This and other stories making headlines across the country in the County Wrap.
The National Counter-Terrorism Center has pledged to work together with journalists in the country to gag violent extremist ideologies. Speaking in Machakos, the National Counter-Terrorism Center Acting Director Joseph Opondo said the multi-agency is training scribes in various parts of the country on countering violent extremism.
Gatherers and assistants with satellite tracks, technicians, producers and editors place great demand on authorities for facts and information, the news broadcasts and the newspapers. All this, if not effectively managed, the media has the potential to be as great a problem as the incident itself.
Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya has disbanded the Trouble Chepchoina Land Committee and asked government officers and politicians in possession of huge chunks of land at the scheme to surrender them and leave the area. Natembeya, who visited the scheme in Trans Nzoia County, said the government has lost 1,700 acres of Agricultural Development Corporation ADC land through dubious means.
Sisi tunataka kufanya vitu juu ya meza. Pata kuficha vitu chini. Hii mashamba inasemekana kwamba yule beneficiary anataka kupewa eka 2.5. Na lazima uqualify kwa hiyo eka 2.5, lazima uwe ni mtu ambaye hauna nini shamba.
Kwa kuwa na fikira ya kupatia watu wenye hawajiwezi mashamba. That was a very good decision. Lakini a good decision imekuja kuharibiwa njiani because of implementation na matapeli na wakora.
Elsewhere in Mwingi, the Kenya National Union of Teachers Executive Secretary Michael Mbutu has called for strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols in schools, especially during KCP and KCSE exams that commences next week. Mbutu urged exam supervisors and invigilators as well as students to take precautionary measures in dealing with the pandemic.
Very soon we'll have these teachers interacting with the learners, which of course it is something that has been happening even before the vaccination. What we are saying is that let teachers, the pupils, and even the invigilators who will be engaged in this examination observe COVID-19 protocol.
Meanwhile, youth in Kiharu, Murang'a County have a reason to smile after an American-based organization in collaboration with engineer Karanja Mburu Amatangi started an initiative with an aim to equip them with technical skills. The initiative, dubbed Can Do Kids, has invested in polytechnics, where the youth are offered computers and training equipment worth 800 shillings at Karuru Polytechnic in Mugoiri.
So with all this is to promote so that our youths can come and learn. We have so many tools. We have handheld tools. We have a sewing machine and a lot of beauty. So all this put together is to make sure that our youths and our people out there, they can get the skill they need.
Matangi was here, and he has partnered with the US, some of his friends in US, and they were able to give us machines related to dressmaking, knitting, welding, carpentry, and so on and so forth.
Timothy Kipnosu, Channel 1 News.
More than 50 girls from Utange, Kisauni Sub-County, Mombasa County are set to benefit from Youth for Mental Health project that aims to impact several skills that will empower them financially. Speaking in Utange while launching the project, CAS ICT Innovations and Youth Affairs Nadia Ahmed said the project will also engage the beneficiaries and deter them from indulging in drug and substance abuse.
Saumu Abdallah is a teenage mother from a poor family background. The 19-year-old and a school dropout gave birth when she was only 15 years old. Saumu is the second born in a family of 8. Her father, the only breadwinner, died when she was young. And with the hard economic times coupled with now a baby, Saumu decided to leave their Samburu home in Kwale County to seek greener pastures in Utange, Kisauni Sub-County, Mombasa County.
Masomo shida hivyo mara yomba kwa mjomba school fees mara hivi. Kapata na kijana mwingine mwenye alikuwa ameamua tu kunisaidia mpaka familia yangu kusomesha wale ndugu zangu waliobaki. Kiendelea nayo kijana nilipopata tu mjamzito naye kijana akabadilika. Hata kunisaidia. Hiyo kitu ilinifanya niwe na mawazo mpaka nikawa nimechanganyikiwa, yani naweza toka huko kwetu Samburu mpaka huko Mombasa bila kupanda gari na sijui naenda wapi.
She has been doing manual jobs and house chores to feed her 4-year-old child. Saumu is among 50 young mothers who have been picked to benefit from the Youth for Mental Health project that aims to impart several skills that will empower them financially.
A lot of girls have been out of school for a very long time. Some have not even gone back because of the little amount of money that they don't have. And we realize that it is important for us to really teach them about the importance of mental health, but at the same time to bring back that identity and self-love. Wasichana wengi hapa, it's like as if hawajipendi na hawajithamini, and because of COVID-19 wengi wazazi wao wamewatenga. So nilikuwa lazima tuje hapa tuanzie hiyo pilot program ili tuweze kuwaimarisha waende shule, lakini pia tuwafundishe matatizo yake.
According to the government, Utange area has been picked for the pilot project owing to increased cases of teenage pregnancy and early marriages.
La kwanza wanasema hawapati upendo kwa wazazi. Jambo la pili wanasema wazazi wao wenyewe wana struggle kuwapeleka shule. Kwa hivyo lazima wao wapate pesa kipande zingine. Jambo la tatu ni mambo ya period poverty. Hawana pads, hawana pesa za kununua hivyo, so wanapata vijana wa bodaboda wanawadanganya, wanaambia njoni mufanye hivi mupate. Na jambo la mwisho ni ile pia pressure. Wanaona wenzao wako na ma boyfriend na ma girlfriend, na wao pia wanasema wataka kuingia katika hicho kikundi na waendeleze. So ukiangalia ni pia rebellion. Wasichana wako bored, wasichana wengine wanachochana, wasichana wengine wanadanganyana. So it's a lot of things.
The project will also be launched in other parts of Mombasa County. Reporting for Channel 1 News from Mombasa County, I'm Michael Mundiga.
Let's now cross the border where Ugandan politician and former presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi, popularly known as Bobi Wine, has been arrested in the capital Kampala. He was leading a team of members of parliament from his National Unity platform in a protest against arrest and disappearances of supporters in the contested January election. Security forces fired tear gas to disperse the crowd that was marching with the politicians. Take a look.
In a virtual address on Sunday, Bobi Wine called on his supporters to use peaceful means to protest against the election results, which he continues to claim were rigged, and to demand that security forces produce their missing colleagues. His arrest from a campaign rally in November kicked off 2 days of protests, during which over 50 people died. Elsewhere, gunmen have abducted a number of primary school pupils and their teachers in Nigeria's northwestern state of Kaduna, just days after dozens of students were abducted from a college in the state. Residents say the armed kidnappers attacked the government schools in the village of Rema in the Bernin Gwari district on Monday morning as children arrived for classes. It is not clear how many people have been abducted. This is the first time primary school children have been targeted. Elsewhere, a report by medical charity MSF has found that 70% of health facilities in Ethiopia's conflict-hit northern region of Tigray have been vandalized and equipment looted. Conflict erupted in Tigray on November 4, 2020, when Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed ordered an offensive to oust the region's former ruling party, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, after its fighters had captured federal military bases in the region. The Ethiopian authorities say most health services have been restored. Finally, the Chinese capital of Beijing was covered in thick dust on Monday as it experienced what its weather bureau has called the worst sandstorm in a decade. The storm caused an unprecedented spike in air pollution measurement, with pollution levels in some districts at 160 times the recommended limit. Hundreds of flights were cancelled or grounded as the sky was covered by an apocalyptic-looking orange haze. The sand is being brought in by strong winds from Inner Mongolia. China's Global Times media outlet reported that at least 12 provinces in the country, including the capital, had been affected.
Welcome back. Let's make sense of shillings and cents. And the question is, are you disgruntled with the new hiked energy or petroleum hiked prices? Well, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority is defending its recent price hike, saying the adjustment is in tandem with the global crude oil price hikes. This as Kenyans continue to register their disappointment with the increased fuel prices, calling on the government to reconsider revisiting or revising the prices downwards to cushion them from the impending high cost of living.
In a statement to newsrooms, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority absolved itself from any wrongdoing, saying the petroleum pricing in Kenya is undertaken in accordance with the Energy Petroleum Pricing Regulations. EPRA adds that the formula for determining the landed cost of imported petroleum products and therefore other products along petroleum supply chain are added to arrive at the pump price. Such incremental costs include storage and distribution costs, supplier margins and taxes and levies. However, Kenyans continue to show their reservation with the recent increase that saw a litre of petrol retail at 122.18 in Nairobi, with the diesel and kerosene retailing at 107.66 and 97.85 respectively. Kenyans say the prices are too high and will translate to tougher times as the cost of living is expected to increase.
Juu kwanza sisi tunatumia stove. Unaona? Kama mtu hajiwezi, hiyo ni gasi imeisha, utakibiria mafuta ya taa, sawa? Hiyo mafuta ya taa wameongeza na 5 bob. Na kama hauna pesa.
They now want the government to revise the prices downwards to cushion them from the high cost of living.
Na appeal kwa government, tafadhali watu one kama watu wa biashara ya matatu, abiria pia hawana pesa. So hiyo ni appeal yangu kwa watu wa matatu wote ama watu wa sekta magari, watu punguzie bei tafadhali.
The fuel has also caught the attention of political leaders who called for a review of taxes on fuel products to stabilize their prices.
The reality is that the taxation level on Kenya's fuel products is too much. There are too many levies and there are too many taxes. As much as the country needs revenue, as much as the government needs revenue, do not kill the goose that lays the golden egg.
Taxes and levies contributed 46.68% of the pump price of super petrol in March 2021, 42.23% of that of diesel, and 40.42% that of kerosene.
It is a cry among many Kenyans with the increased price of fuel, with the fear that prices of other products may increase. And the Energy Petroleum Authority says the upward adjustment of the prices is as a consequence of the increased cost of the imported products. For Channel 1 News, I'm Wangare Washuri.
Thanks for that report. And focusing on food security, the National Cereals and Produce Board says it needs 4 billion shillings to start purchasing maize from local farmers. The board chairperson, Mutea Iringo, says NCPB has exhausted all funds after purchasing 50,000 bags of maize from farmers.
The National Cereals and Produce Board is seeking 4 billion shillings from Treasury to mop up maize stock from farmers. The board says it has spent 1.2 billion shillings this year to purchase 50,000 bags of maize from the previous harvests.
Currently, there's about 4 billion that is factored in the budget.
NCPB chairperson Mutea Iringo says the commercial arm of the board will pay farmers 2,700 shillings for a 90 kg bag of maize they sell at the board facilities across the country. However, each farmer will be restricted to sell only 1,000 bags to the NCPB.
Geomba sisi kama wakulima tuongezewe idadi ya magunia yenye tunatakiwa tulete hapa. Tunajua ni kawaida kuna wenye wanaona ni nyingi na kuna wenye wanaona ni chache. Manake mwenye analima eka 10 ama 20 anaona haya magunia ni mengi. Mwenye analima eka 200 anaona haya magunia haitoshi.
To further reduce the facilities debt and enhance accountability, the farmers will be paid promptly after delivering their maize.
When we look at the buying process at the moment that we are undertaking, we are able to pay maize immediately. Once we take your maize in the store today, we pay the following day.
Part of the funds will also be used to operationalize the warehousing receipting system. Benson Njue reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Elsewhere, the Kenya Power has started disconnecting illegal power lines across the country. Kenya Power Managing Director Bernard Ngugi says illegal connections cost the utility firm 9.6 billion shillings annually in losses, with Nairobi and Kisii leading in illegal power connections. The electricity company so far has indicted 250 of its employees, who they say have colluded with landlords and traders to fix the illegal power lines.
Illegal power connections in the country constitute 12% of all KPLC's annual total losses. The utility firm says it's starting a countrywide operation to disconnect illegal power lines that it says poses danger to unsuspecting users. The exercise will target illegal settlements across Nairobi and parts of Wida. Farm's MD says the vice is rampant.
Kariobangi area, that's one of the leading one. On the area of low income, we can say Kisii is another area that we are focusing on. Those are the two areas that we have a lot of losses.
These as the connections are estimated to cost Kenya Power 9.6 billion shillings in missed revenue.
What contributes commercial losses is theft of electricity. And countrywide, we do have 12.5% of commercial losses countrywide.
On the rising electricity bills, Ngugi is urging Kenyans to purchase tokens on a monthly one-off basis to reduce tariff charged at every purchase.
If you would want to see consistency, have some dates, consistent dates when you can pay, or you pay once, and those kind of things. You can make those decisions and see that for sure we are not overcharging.
Already Kenya Power has sent home 250 staff members for their late roles in the increasing number of illegal power connections. Benson Njue reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Moving on, bar owners in Makueni County have raised an alarm over increase in second-generation and illicit brews that have crippled their businesses. This, coupled with high license fees, has worsened the situation even as COVID-19 pandemic effects continue to ravage the liquor sector.
Increased uptake of illicit brews and second-generation alcohol is clawing the market for bar owners in Makueni County. They say that even as their businesses continue to make losses, the county government has continued to impose heavy taxation and license requirements.
The liquor license is very high. We also pay our health license and we also pay business permit. These licenses cumulatively carry big chunk of our money.
Sisi tunalipa licenses na zile pombe ambao zinauzwa kwa kioski zimekuwa nyingi kuliko zile tunauza kwa basi.
They asked the government to consider withdrawing some of the license requirement as a way of cushioning their businesses.
So appeal that if these costs can be brought down, if you can be given a waiver, especially during this period, not to pay some of those licenses, will be very pleased and remain within business.
They also want the working hours of restaurants, bars and entertainment joints streamlined so that they can make the most of their businesses during the day.
That we are on operation 1 hour or 2 hours, those hours are not enough to make us pay for those costs of operating.
Terry Njenga, Channel 1 Business.
Further afield, the Democratic Republic of Congo is piloting a project that will ensure sufficient supply of gas in the country. DRC intends to distribute gas at a lower cost to the population so that the use of charcoal is banned, abandoned, and forests are preserved.
The first phase of the distribution project began in March 2020 in Kinshasa in Central Congo province. The second phase, which was launched on 6th March, will take into account the provinces of Kwilu, Kwango, and Mai Dombe. More than 50,000 gas kits have been distributed among the population, saving 250 hectares of forest annually by continuously recharging the cylinders sold and covering about 2.5% of the households concerned. Meanwhile, the World Bank approved a total of $22.5 million in additional financing to the regional off-grid electricity access project to support the development of the market for stand-alone solar products in Western and Central Africa. This complements the $150 million of IDA and $67.2 million CTF approved by the board in April 2019 for this project. The project will support activities to accelerate the deployment of stand-alone solar products in a sub-region where 50% of the population does not have access to electricity and where less than 3% of the population uses such innovative technologies. Finally, in Uganda, Uganda Marketers Society and the Chartered Institute of Marketing have signed an MOU for a strategic partnership to enhance professional marketing standards and practices in Uganda. The partnership will see CIM appoint ambassadors and advisory representatives to the Marketers Society to ensure that marketing professionals in Uganda benefit from joint networking activities and shared academic exchange to strengthen the professional marketing community and encourage career development.
Key economic data in China surged dramatically in the first 2 months of 2021, pointing to a continued recovery for the world's second largest economy, where China's industrial output grew 35.1% in January and February compared to the same months last year. More details in our international business wrap.
The Chinese government has set a modest annual economic growth target for 2021 at above 6%, even though analysts are tipping growth of around 8%. China was the only major economy last year to report positive growth, with an expansion of 2.3%. However, there are still imbalances in the economic recovery, and that China needs to step up support for consumption. Retail sales, another key economic indicator, climbed to 33.8% in the period, although the unemployment rate was 5.5% at the end of February, up from 5.2% in December. Economists have pointed to a two-speed track for China with strong industrial output and export demand but a lagging consumer recovery. Meanwhile, Bitcoin consolidated around $60,000 on Monday, taking a breather from the weekend's record high as investors prepared for inflation worries and U.S. stimulus spending to propel it even higher. Its weekend surge was helped by an improvement in risk appetite in financial markets after President Joe Biden signed his $1.9 trillion fiscal stimulus package into law and ordered an acceleration in vaccines. Finally, British Airways is planning to make it easier for passengers to prove they are safe to travel once they have been vaccinated against COVID-19. The UK government has said it will give the go-ahead for a return to international travel on 17th May at the earliest. The announcement prompted a flood of bookings, but it remains unclear which routes will be available. Terry Njenga, Channel 1 Business.
Time to play, and we begin with some good news from our boys, where Eric Kapaito and Hassan Abdallah handed coach Jacob Ghost Mulee a second straight win in 3 days, as their goals were enough to see off Tanzania in a second friendly match played today at the Nyayo National Stadium. The 2-1 win over Tanzania follows a 1-0 win over Southern Sudan in their previous friendly played on Saturday.
Kenya's Harambee Stars are geared to face Egypt and Togo in their Africa Cup of Nations qualifier matches, and a second successive friendly win lifts the spirits of the Jacob Ghost Mulee side. It was a hard-fought 1-0 win over South Sudan on Saturday, and today the Stars went on to register a second friendly match win, beating neighbors Tanzania 2-1 at the Nyayo National Stadium. The Stars went ahead in the 20th minute through Eric Kapaito, but Tanzania leveled the score just before halftime through Ayubu Lianga. Stars began the second half just as they did the first, and 14 minutes into the second period, Hassan Abdallah sealed the win for the home side. Kenya is scheduled to face Tanzania again on Thursday in yet another friendly encounter before the 25th of this month, then travel to Togo for their second qualifier 4 days later.
Tumeweza kuja na mbinu mpya kipindi cha pili, kwa sababu ukiangalia rotation ya Tanzania ilikuwa kidogo imetuzidi kipindi cha kwanza. Kwa hivyo tumeweza kudhibiti mechi katika kipindi cha pili, kwa sababu tukawanyima mwanya ambao walikuwa wanataka kutumia sana katika kipindi cha kwanza. Kwa hivyo imekuwa ni mechi nzuri na wamepatia mazoezi ya kufana.
The headline will be the way we defend. We are making too many individual mistakes, and so we have some work to do to strengthen our defense.
The Africa Cup of Nations will be held in Cameroon early next year.
Kipaji Soccer Academy were crowned champions of the inaugural Bangbet Champe wa Mtaa football tournament after coming from a goal down to see off AV Fitness 3-2 in a thrilling final played at Woodley Grounds in Kibra. Former Kenya internationals Osborne Mandi and David Cheche Calabar were outstanding for AV Fitness before a capacity crowd at the dusty grounds, but could not help the side beat Kipaji. Champions Kipaji pocketed a cash prize of 200,000 shillings, while Fitness walked away with 100,000 shillings. In the women's final, Sunderland Samba edged Kibra Girls in the final to win 80,000 shillings cash prize. The tournament attracted 8 men's teams and 4 women clubs from Kibra, Dagoretti, Kawangware and Riruta Satellite.
Ilianza na timu 8 za wanaume na timu 4 za wasichana.
So imekuwa competitive because we picked teams from Kibera na Dogoreti na Kawangware. So we wanted to create a cohesion ya community pia. So that's why we never picked only teams from Kibera. Because even when you see the teams that zenye ziko finali tayari, moja ni ya Kibera, nyingine ya side ya Dogoreti. So hiyo uwiano pia tulikuwa nataka iko hivyo. But imekuwa competitive sana. Because even the big teams zenye kwa tutafika finali